What if the Pentagon's most expensive defense project isn't a shield at all, but a fantasy dressed up as science? Right now, Washington is asking for a staggering $25 billion in just the first year of something called the Golden Dome missile defense system. On paper, it's supposed to protect America from the ultimate nightmare: hundreds of nuclear missiles launched at once by Russia or China. The pitch? A 99.999% chance of success, intercepting hypersonic warheads, decoys, and unpredictable re-entry vehicles in real time. Sounds impressive, right?
Back. Chair, and I recognize the gentleman from Nebraska, Chairman Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to welcome all three of you here. I appreciate you being here, and I want to congratulate the chairman. I served 3 decades in the Air Force. I didn't serve with you, but many of my friends have, and they think very highly of you, so our congrats. Mr. Secretary, during your comments early on, I would say I agree with you. Homeland security, defense of the homeland is important. China is our pacing threat. I agree with that. But we never hear Russia. You didn't mention it in your comments up front. It's not just you, it's the entire administration. 2/3 of Americans see clearly that Russia is a threat, that they're the aggressor in Ukraine. It's in our national security interest that Ukraine prevails here, because Russia will not stop Ukraine. Just this week, Putin said that he would only stop the invasion of Ukraine if we pull out of the Baltic countries. I mean, this just gives you some insight to what Putin's thinking. What we see right now in the administration is some moral blindness here. We want moral clarity, and we want strength when it comes to Russia. Secondly, I also share concerns about the firing of the generals. Yes, it's currently very much in your constitutional right to fire and hire generals, and the president has that right. But there's also decency involved here. I've known many of these people. I was served with most of these folks when I was a colonel and as a 1-star. I knew one as a captain. They served their whole adult life. And I think they deserved an explanation why they were fired. And I think the American people deserve that as well. And the impact on Cyber Command, having General Hawk fired. We groomed him for over a decade to fill those shoes. And I don't know that anybody can fill those shoes right now. It's going to take a year or two for people to get there. I really believe that the most happy people on the firing of General Hawk was Russia and China. Now for my questions. I'm on the Cyber Subcommittee. I chair that committee. We learn, and we know, and I know you all know, that Russia and China are attacking us every day. I also have learned that within the executive branch, there are very limiting rules of engagement on what Cyber Command can do in response. I would ask both the Secretary and the Chairman if you would review those rules of engagement and see if they're right. I think we should be carrying a bigger stick here when we're being attacked every day. So would you at least look at those rules of engagement and consider revamping them?
Sir, we do review those on a regular basis, and I would say there's been some incorrect reporting on what has or has not been done, but internally we're ensuring that anything we do on cyber offense or cyber defense is coordinated with the administration's priorities and the way in which the department views threats and how we manage them in real time.
So as I mentioned, I'm the chairman of the committee, and I've talked to multiple layers. They are restricted based off of the rules of engagement. Maybe they're appropriate. I just hope we relook at them, because if China can attack our energy grid, our Wall Street grid, our hospitals, I think we should be reviewing, okay, is our responses adequate? So I just wanted to submit that for you to think about and consider. I agree, China is the pacing threat. And the best way we want to prevent a war. Day one of a war with China and Taiwan is a day too late. I happen to know that we owe billions of dollars of weapons to China, or to Taiwan. We've committed to them, or they purchased them. And this is really a previous administration's fault. We're talking billions of dollars of weapons. They need sea mines now. They need Harpoon missiles, air and missile defense, things like that. I asked the previous secretary under the previous administration, what are you doing about it? He says, well, I'm studying it. He's the secretary. I just asked for you all's review and figure out who's behind, do we got to kick to start getting these weapons to Taiwan faster so we have deterrence? And I just appreciate your comment to that.
I'll defer to the chairman as well, but this is not something we're simply reviewing. It's something we are implementing in real time. I think there was a lot of talk about a shift to the Indo-Pacific in previous administrations, but the department had not put in place, not just, there was strategy changes at some level, but driving change into the institution to make decisions, prioritize, and trade-offs in your budget, in force posture, in training and exercises. in where you forward position troops and munitions. Those are the things we're actioning in real time, and I think very differently than in the past, with a realistic view of what threats could emerge in the Indo-Pacific. I would defer to the chairman.
Sir, I'll just add in general terms about the size and capacity of our defense assistance worldwide. You know, that all tacks back to our national and defense industrial base. And what I'm encouraged by is the leaders that we have in the department, in the joint force, and in the Congress right now. It feels like if not now, then when? And if not us, then who? And these are the right leaders across the USG to get after this and to support through
Let's
those.
get through this fight now.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair now recognizes the gentlelady from Pennsylvania.
But here's the problem, even your Wi-Fi can't guarantee that kind of reliability. So why are we gambling trillions of dollars and our national security on what critics are calling nothing more than a high-tech fantasy? The Golden Dome is being marketed as the miracle shield of the future. Officials say it's not just about rogue states or small-scale attacks. No, this is the big one. A promise to stop the kind of full-scale nuclear barrage we'd face from Moscow or Beijing. Imagine hundreds of intercontinental ballistic missiles fired at once, each one splitting into multiple warheads, some real, some decoys, some hypersonic gliders twisting unpredictably through the atmosphere. And in this nightmare scenario, the Golden Dome supposedly catches them all before a single warhead reaches American soil. The number they're floating is near perfection, better than the reliability of the best commercial airlines, better than the stability of the internet, better than just about anything man-made. It sounds like the kind of promise you'd expect in a science fiction novel, not a Pentagon budget request. And that's exactly why so many people are raising red flags. Because here's the truth, missile defense on that scale isn't just a military challenge, it's a physics nightmare. Shooting down one missile is hard enough. Shooting down hundreds, all at different speeds, with decoys designed to trick the sensors. That's bordering on impossible. And we're not talking about a video game here. We're talking about real missiles traveling at thousands of miles per hour, maneuvering in unpredictable ways. The Pentagon may have some of the brightest minds working on this, but even they admit the physics is brutal. The system doesn't just need rockets, it needs flawless sensors, command centers that can process information in real time, and even space-based technologies that don't exist yet. So the question becomes, are we really building a shield or are we building a fantasy? And let's not ignore the cost. The starting price tag is $25 billion in year one alone. But analysts say the long-term bill could climb to $500 billion, maybe even $1 trillion. Think about that. Trillions spent on something that may never work as advertised. This isn't just expensive. It's the most costly gamble in defense history. And for what? If the system doesn't deliver on its promise, we'll have spent mountains of taxpayer money on what amounts to a giant science project. Critics call it a money pit wrapped in military jargon, served to the public as protection. And when you look at the details, you start to understand why. Complexity isn't just a hurdle. In Washington, complexity is often the point. The more complicated a project is, the harder it becomes to track failures and the easier it becomes to funnel money to contractors. In other words, it's not just a defense strategy, it's also a business plan. Now here's where things get even stranger. While the Pentagon is pitching this as the future of national defense, they've been quietly slashing oversight. The Office of Operational Test and Evaluation, the watchdogs who are supposed to make sure these systems actually work, lost nearly 74% of its staff. That's not a trim. That's a gutting. And it happened just as Golden Dome was being pushed forward. Think about that for a second. The very people who would run stress tests, raise concerns, and demand proof, have been cut down to a fraction of their original size. Officials say it was about reducing redundancies and streamlining processes. But critics see something more sinister. You don't downsize your inspectors in the middle of building a billion-dollar shield unless you're worried about what they'll find. If you were confident the system could work, you'd want more oversight, not less. Instead, what we're seeing looks a lot like sabotage dressed up as reform. And if oversight cuts weren't enough, bureaucracy has been another killer. Reports show that the Golden Dome has already suffered years of delay because of duplication and overlap in the decision-making process. Multiple agencies tripping over each other, making the same calls twice, slowing down progress while the price tag balloons. This isn't just inefficient, it's dangerous. Every year wasted is another year without a reliable defense system, another year closer to a scenario where all we have to rely on are promises. It's like building a rocket to Mars and forgetting to check whether gravity exists. The longer these drags on, the clearer it becomes that the Golden Dome is more about paperwork and contracts than actual protection. And that leads us to another issue. Who exactly is building this? Right now, the Pentagon seems to be leaning heavily on defense contractors, the same companies that profit whether the system works or not. But scientists, independent, unaffiliated experts, are warning that the physics just doesn't add up. Some senators are calling for the Pentagon to stop listening to sales pitches and start listening to scientists. Because if this project is being driven more by politics and profits than by proven science, then we're in deep trouble. This isn't a time for experiments. This is about nuclear survival. If the Golden Dome is nothing more than an illusion propped up by lobbying and flashy PowerPoint slides, then it's not defense, it's deception. And let's not forget the credibility problem. On one hand, the Pentagon is promising an all-in-one miracle system. On the other, they're piecing it together using legacy technologies that were never meant to handle threats of this scale. Imagine trying to duct tape together a pile of old smartphones and expecting them to perform like a supercomputer. That's what critics say the Pentagon is attempting here, slapping together outdated systems, giving them a shiny new name, and calling it innovation. But when the stakes are global annihilation, you can't fake readiness. You either have a system that works, or you don't. And right now, too many experts believe the Golden Dome falls into that second category. All of this leaves us with a very troubling question. Are we really preparing for defense, or are we preparing for failure? Because if the United States is betting trillions of dollars and its national security on a shield that might never work, then we're not building protection. We're building an illusion. The Golden Dome isn't just another Pentagon project. It's a symbol of what happens when ambition collides with reality, when politics outweigh physics, and when money talks louder than science. Supporters may wrap it in patriotism, but at the end of the day, patriotism doesn't stop missiles, physics does. And until someone can prove this system works, every dollar spent is another step deeper into the fantasy. So what do you think? Is the Golden Dome a visionary defense system that could one day keep America safe, or is it nothing more than a trillion-dollar illusion sold to the public with false promises? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this debate is only just beginning. And if you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because the next story we're covering is even more controversial.